Atomic Habits by James Clear, published by Wise Office Audiobook. Introduction. The Power of Small Changes. James Clear's Atomic Habits begins with a simple yet profound premise. Small changes, when practiced consistently, can lead to extraordinary results. These tiny habits, what Clear calls atomic habits, are the building blocks of significant personal transformation. Much like atoms, which are small but form the foundation of everything in the universe, atomic habits may seem insignificant at first, but their cumulative impact over time is immense. Clear emphasizes that success is not about making radical changes overnight. Instead, it's about focusing on 1% improvements every day. Over time, these incremental gains compound into remarkable achievements. Conversely, neglecting small habits can lead to a downward spiral, where minor setbacks accumulate into major problems. This principle of compounding applies not only to financial investments, but also to personal growth. Just as money grows exponentially through compound interest, habits grow exponentially through consistent effort. The book is structured around a practical framework for understanding how habits work and how to harness their power. Clear draws on scientific research, real-world examples, and his own experiences to provide readers with actionable strategies for creating good habits and eliminating bad ones. He explains that habits are not just about willpower or motivation, they are deeply rooted in our biology and psychology. By understanding the science behind habits, we can design systems that make positive behaviors automatic and eliminate destructive ones. One of the key takeaways from the introduction is the idea that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. A 1% improvement might not seem like much, but over time, it can lead to exponential growth. For example, if you improve by 1% every day for a year, you'll end up 37 times better by the end of the year. On the other hand, if you decline by 1% every day, you'll be nearly worthless by the end of the year. This illustrates the power of small, consistent actions. Clear also highlights the importance of patience and persistence. Many people give up on their goals because they don't see immediate results. However, progress often feels slow at first, especially during what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. This is the phase where your efforts don't seem to yield visible outcomes, but they are laying the groundwork for future success. By sticking with your habits during this phase, you set yourself up for breakthroughs later on. In essence, Atomic Habits is not just about achieving specific goals, it's about becoming the type of person who naturally adopts behaviors aligned with those goals. It's about shifting from outcome-based thinking to identity-based thinking. Instead of focusing solely on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. This shift in mindset is crucial for long-term success. Part 1. The Fundamentals of Habit Formation. Chapter 1. The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. Clear opens the book with a compelling story about his own journey of recovery after a severe injury during high school baseball. During a game, he was accidentally struck in the face with a bat, fracturing his skull and leaving him with significant physical limitations. Faced with the daunting challenge of rebuilding his strength and skills, he realized that small, consistent efforts could help him regain his abilities. This experience taught him the importance of focusing on tiny improvements rather than chasing quick fixes. He introduces the concept of the aggregation of marginal gains, popularized by British cycling coach Dave Brailsford. Brailsford believed that by improving every aspect of cycling performance by just 1%, his team could achieve unprecedented success. This included optimizing everything from tire pressure to the ergonomics of the bike seats. Over time, these small improvements compounded, leading to multiple Tour de France victories. This principle underscores the book's central message. Small habits, when compounded, lead to extraordinary outcomes. Clear also highlights the plateau of latent potential, a common frustration where progress feels slow but despite consistent effort. Many people give up during this phase because they don't see immediate results. However, persistence through this plateau often leads to breakthroughs. Clear uses the analogy of planting seeds to explain this phenomenon. When you plant a seed, nothing happens above ground for days or even weeks. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, and the plant is preparing to sprout. Similarly, when you invest in small habits, progress may not be visible at first, but it's happening beneath the surface. To illustrate this point, Clear shares the story of a photography class experiment. Students were divided into two groups. One focused on producing a large volume of work, while the other focused on creating a single perfect photo. At the end of the semester, the group that prioritized quantity produced higher quality photos than the group that focused on perfection. This demonstrates that consistent practice and iteration lead to mastery, even if initial efforts are imperfect. Clear concludes this chapter by emphasizing that success is not about dramatic transformations, but about embracing the process of continuous improvement. By focusing on small, manageable changes, you can create a system that supports long-term growth. Chapter 2. How your habits shape your identity, and vice versa. One of the most powerful insights in Atomic Habits is the distinction between outcome-based goals and identity-based habits. Most people focus on what they want to achieve, for example, losing weight, running a marathon, but Clear argues that true change begins with who you believe you are. Outcome-based goals. These focus on specific results, such as, I want to lose 20 pounds. Identity-based habits. These focus on becoming the type of person who naturally adopts behaviors aligned with your desired identity, such as, I am someone who prioritizes health. Clear explains that habits are the votes you cast for the type of person you want to become. Every time you perform a habit, you reinforce your identity. For example, if you consistently write every day, you begin to see yourself as a writer. Over time, this self-perception influences your actions, making it easier to stick to your habits. Conversely, if you repeatedly skip workouts, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't prioritize fitness. This shift from outcome-based thinking to identity-based thinking is crucial because it aligns your habits with your core values. When your actions reflect who you are, motivation becomes intrinsic rather than external. For instance, if you identify as a healthy person, choosing nutritious foods and exercising regularly becomes second nature. You no longer rely on willpower or external rewards to stay on track. Clear provides several strategies for adopting identity-based habits. Start small. Focus on small actions that reinforce your desired identity. For example, if you want to become a reader, start by reading 1 page per day. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge and celebrate each step toward your new identity. This reinforces the belief that you are capable of change. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Join communities or groups where your desired behavior is the norm. Surrounding yourself with people who embody the habits you want to adopt increases your motivation to follow suit. By focusing on identity, you create a feedback loop that makes habits easier to maintain. Each action reinforces your belief in your new identity, which in turn motivates further action. Chapter 3. The Science of How Habits Work. In this chapter, Clear breaks down the habit loop, a 4-step process that governs all human behavior. Cue, a trigger that tells your brain to initiate a behavior. Craving, the motivational force behind every habit. It's the desire to change your internal state. Response, the actual behavior or action you take. Reward, the end goal of every habit. It satisfies the craving and teaches your brain whether the behavior is worth repeating. Clear uses the analogy of a cold winter morning to illustrate this process. Cue, you feel cold. Craving, you crave warmth. Response, you put on a sweater. Reward, You feel warmer, reinforcing the habit. Understanding the habit loop is essential for both building good habits and breaking bad ones. By manipulating these four components, you can design systems that encourage positive behaviors and discourage negative ones. For example, to build a habit of exercising, you can make the cue obvious. Place your workout clothes next to your bed so you see them as soon as you wake up. Make the craving attractive. Pair exercise with something you enjoy, like listening to your favorite podcast. Make the response easy. Start with a short, manageable workout, such as 5 minutes of stretching. Make the reward satisfying. Treat yourself to a post-workout smoothie or a relaxing bath. To break a bad habit, you can invert the laws. Make the cue invisible. Remove triggers for the habit, such as keeping junk food out of sight. Make the craving unattractive. Reframe the habit negatively, such as viewing smoking as a harmful behavior. Make the response difficult. Add friction, such as storing unhealthy snacks in hard-to-reach places. Make the reward unsatisfying. Associate the habit with negative consequences, such as publicly committing to quit smoking. Clear also discusses the role of dopamine in habit formation. Dopamine is released not just when we experience pleasure, but also when we anticipate it. This means that cravings play a crucial role in driving behavior. By making habits more attractive, you increase the likelihood of performing them. Part 2. The 4 Laws of Behavior Change. Chapter 4. Make it obvious. The first law of behavior change focuses on cues, the triggers that prompt a habit. To build good habits, you need to make the cues obvious. Clear provides several strategies for doing so. Implementation intentions. Plan when and where you will perform a habit. For example, I will meditate for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. in my living room. Habit stacking. Link a new habit to an existing one. For instance, after I brush my teeth, I will do 10 push-ups. To break bad habits, you should make the cues invisible. For example, if you want to reduce screen time before bed, keep your phone out of reach or in another room. Clear also discusses the role of environment in shaping behavior. Your surroundings play a significant role in determining which habits you adopt. By designing an environment that supports your desired habits, you make it easier to stick to them. For instance, if you want to eat healthier, keep fruits and vegetables at eye level in your kitchen. If you want to reduce distractions while working, create a dedicated workspace free of clutter. Chapter 5. Make it attractive. The second law of behavior change revolves around cravings, the emotional drivers of habits. To make a habit attractive, you need to associate it with something pleasurable or rewarding. Clear introduces the concept of temptation bundling, which involves pairing an action you need to do with something you enjoy. For example, you might allow yourself to watch your favorite TV show only while exercising on a treadmill. Another strategy is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the norm. Surrounding yourself with people who embody the habits you want to adopt increases your motivation to follow suit. To break bad habits, you should make them unattractive by reframing their associations. For example, instead of viewing smoking as a stress reliever, reframe it as a harmful behavior that damages your health. Chapter 6. Make it easy. The third law of behavior change emphasizes reducing friction for good habits. The easier a habit is to perform, the more likely you are to stick to it. Clear advocates starting with very small actions, what he calls the 2-minute rule. Any habit can be scaled down to a version that takes less than 2 minutes to complete. For example, instead of committing to reading an entire book, start by reading 1 page. Once you've begun, it's easier to continue. To break bad habits, you should increase friction by adding obstacles. For instance, if you want to stop snacking late at night, store unhealthy foods in hard-to-reach places. Chapter 7. Make it satisfying. The final law of behavior change focuses on rewards, the satisfaction you get from completing a habit. To reinforce good habits, you need to make them immediately satisfying. Clear suggests using reinforcement, such as giving yourself a small reward after completing a task. For example, treat yourself to a piece of chocolate after finishing a workout. Tracking your progress is another effective way to create satisfaction. Seeing visible evidence of your improvement motivates you to keep going. To break bad habits, you should make them unsatisfying by associating them with negative consequences. For example, publicly committing to a goal creates accountability, making failure less appealing. Part 3. Advanced Tactics for Mastering Habits. Chapter 8. The Role of Environment in Shaping Behavior. Clear delves deeper into the influence of environment on habits. He explains that our surroundings often dictate our behavior more than we realize. By designing an environment that supports your desired habits, you make it easier to stick to them. For example, if you want to eat healthier, keep fruits and vegetables at eye level in your kitchen. If you want to reduce distractions while working, create a dedicated workspace free of clutter. Clear also discusses the importance of context-specific cues. Performing a habit in the same location or under the same conditions helps reinforce it. Over time, your brain associates that context with the habit, making it automatic. Chapter 9. The Dangers of Plateaus and How to Overcome Them. In this chapter, Clear addresses the frustration of plateaus, the periods where progress seems to stall despite consistent effort. He reassures readers that plateaus are a natural part of the growth process and encourages persistence. To overcome plateaus, Clear recommends experimenting with different approaches. Sometimes, tweaking your routine or trying a new strategy can reignite progress. He also emphasizes the importance of patience and trust in the process. Chapter 10. The Goldilocks Rule and Maintaining Motivation. Clear introduces the Goldilocks rule, which states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are neither too easy nor too difficult. Finding this sweet spot keeps you engaged and motivated. To maintain long-term motivation, Clear advises focusing on the process rather than the outcome. Celebrate small wins along the way and remind yourself why your habits matter. Conclusion. The lifelong journey of habit formation. In the final chapters, Clear reflects on the lifelong nature of habit formation. Building better habits isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. Success lies in embracing continuous improvement and staying committed to your identity. Clear leaves readers with a powerful reminder. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. By investing in small, consistent changes, you can transform your life in ways you never imagined. I hope you enjoyed listening to Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe for more book summaries.